What's up, folks? Dave Monte here from Circle of Drink, and today I want to talk about calabash gourds. I want to reintroduce this topic, approach it again. I'm getting a lot of emails about how to take care of your calabash gourd, how to deal with the green looking weird stuff that kind of grows in it, changes the color as you begin to drink out of the gourd. But let me just tell you straight from the bat, don't worry about it. Most of the time, I would say 9 out of 10 times, when the calabash gourd, when you think that it has gone bad, when you think that mold has got into it, when you think that mildew has got into it, you are correct. Those things have happened, but it's still perfectly safe to consume, still perfectly safe to continue to drink mate out of. And we're going to get into that in a second. Right now I'm just drinking some of my favorite mate, Mission Yerba Mate. I would say it's my all-time favorite. I love it. It has that sort of bitterness, that kick that I love, but of course I like all the other flavors and all the other types, different regional cuts, Galaxy, all different types that we have at Circle of Drink. So check out our website, circleofdrink.com, if you want to find out more about the sort of all organic sherbets that we have. Feel free to go do that. But let's get into it. Let me grab my calabash gourd. Bam. So, calabash gourd. In a few seconds I'll do some close-ups inside the gourd to show you what's going on. You're not going to be able to see it too well right now, but basically, as you could see in there, it's very dark, it's very obscure. The coloring is pretty much a sort of green tint, but the entire vessel is very tough, it's hard, it's impermeable, no water's going to get through this. It's just a great looking gourd. It's been curing for about 6 months or so, this gourd. Now, I love the calabash gourd. It's essentially made out of a squash plant. The scientific name is Langnaria caesarea, and it's a squash that has been around for thousands of years. So many cultures have used this. Native Americans, people in Asia, people in Europe, people in Africa, people in Jamaica, the Caribbean, West Indies. This has been, roughly speaking, the first drinking vessel known to man. It's just great. You just drink mate out of it. You add the mate to it. This is what they traditionally use in Argentina, Paraguay, Brazil, and it just works. What can I say? It's one of my first gourds I've ever used, a calabash gourd. I love them. They're solid. But the thing is, some people get confused, they get worried when they see all the mold and stuff like that inside. Now, I'm sure you've seen my other videos, but let's briefly discuss it. When you get a calabash gourd, you have to cure it. Okay, now what does that mean? That essentially means filling it up with yerba mate. Any sort of mate you want, the powdery the better, but it doesn't really matter too much. Fill it up with mate, then get room temperature or slightly heated water and fill that up. Now, you want to let that sit for about 24 hours. Every few hours or so, as the mate gets absorbed, the water, gets absorbed by the mate and by the gourd, which is curing the gourd, you just want to add a little bit more water every few hours for about 24 hours. Now, you don't have to stay up overnight and do it. Just whenever you're awake, just add a few more ounces and just let it absorb. After 24 hours, it's great to go. That's called a simple cure. That's what everybody should do with the calabash gourd. Go ahead and do the simple cure. But this is what you don't really hear other people talking about, but this is the real secret. You want to understand that there's two different types of curing. There's the simple cure, which is the 24-hour cure. After that, you're good to go. But it really takes about 3 to 6 months of continual use of the gourd to achieve a full cure. Now, what is a full cure? A full cure is when you absolutely don't get any more mold anymore. It's just bone dry in there, and the whole thing has become discolored. Now, this is sort of a negative connotation, discolored. No. In this respect, discoloration means good. When the whole thing turns a sort of algae green in there, where it turns a sort of army camouflage looking green in there, that means it's fully cured. Okay? When you get rid of all the little spots and things like that, that you see, those bright green spots or those sort of bluish green spots in the beginning, the first couple months, over time, those with constant use, those sort of spots and blotches will go away, and then you will achieve something like this, which I'll show you a close-up in a second, which is a full cure. And you won't have to worry about mold anymore. You'll never get mold anymore unless you just leave the mate in for 2-3 days, which you should never do. Always empty out your mate every single night. Now, just to go over a few more things about the Calabash Gourd, there's a chemical called cucurbitacins. I'll put the name below. It's sort of a long, tedious name, but it's pronounced cucurbitacins. And basically, that accounts for the bitter taste that you're going to get from the Calabash Gourd. Now, don't be scared. It's okay. As the gourd cures, and after a few weeks of using it every couple days, these chemicals, which result in that bitter taste that you get from the gourd, will naturally go away. After 3 to 4 months, or sometimes in some cases up to 6 months, once you achieve a full cure, you will know that it's fully cured once you stop getting that bitter taste from the gourd. Those chemicals have basically left the plant matter and the gourd is fully cured. So that's another cue to know when the gourd is fully cured. Now, if you find that there's some mold or mildew or some sort of microzema, microorganisms growing inside your gourd, don't worry about it. Those sort of microorganisms, most of them are harmless in the small concentrations that are going to accumulate inside here. It's sort of akin to cutting an apple open, letting it sit overnight, or even up to a day or two, and it gets all nasty and black. If you were to eat that apple, most likely you'll be fine. Same sort of thing here. Once you begin to wet the gourd and start to drink out of it, oxidation occurs. During that oxidation, you're going to see a lot of free radical damage. You're going to see a lot of blackening of the gourd. Now, if you keep it wet, which you don't want to do, you want to let it dry out every single night, then you're going to start to deal with different types of mold that are growing that you don't necessarily want. Most mate drinkers, to be honest, just bypass that. They say whatever, but let's err on the safe side here. So you don't want any sort of mold or bacteria to grow in there. Anything that's like furry or hairy, no. If that occurs, don't worry. All you need to do is bring it out into the open, direct sunlight. Take your gourd outside, okay? And the sun is actually a natural germicidal and bactericidal, which basically means that the sun kills germs and kills bacteria naturally. So if you let it dry in the sun, let it get bone dry in the sun for several hours a day, that mold will be gone. It just cannot survive in those conditions. Mold cannot survive in those sort of temperatures in direct sunlight. Alright folks, so let's compare the differences between a fully cured gourd, which is this one right here, and one that's brand spanking new, never been used before. So let's start with the one that's never been used before. Check this out. As you can see, it's perfectly clean inside. When I say clean, I'm talking about how it's consistent color. Basically, it's just the rough, raw plant material inside of the gourd. This is a beautiful gourd. It's impenetrable. No water is getting through. And it's just solid. It's very solid. And there you go. What you're going to want to do is essentially every time you finish using this gourd, just scrape it out. Fully scrape it out. Make sure you have a spoon bombation. Just scrape it out lightly, not too aggressively. And as time goes by, you're going to get this kind of flesh plant material out. You don't want this in there. You know, you don't want it in there. You see these little particles? This is what's going to make your mate bitter and alter the taste. These little particles in here. These particles contain that chemical that provides that bitter taste that you don't want. No good. So as time goes by, this sort of flesh material is going to leave, which you'll see in a second in the gourd that's been fully cured. So this is a fresh gourd. Now, this gourd over here has been fully cured. Notice the difference. The immediate difference is what? It's black in there. It's black as night. You can't even see in there. There's no whiteness at all. This gourd is fully cured. As you can see inside, it's just very obscure and very dark. This is a fully cured gourd. This is the look you're going for. Now inside the gourd is pretty much a dark green. It is a little spotty still. That's totally fine. That's totally normal. But essentially the entire thing is pretty dark inside. I've been using this gourd for a few months and it's fully cured. This is what you want to achieve. It's going to take some time, of course. What I recommend doing is just using this gourd maybe 2 or 3 days consecutively, and then letting it rest for another 2 or 3 days before using it again. You don't want to use this sort of gourd every single day. I recommend getting at least 2 to 3 gourds, specifically for the reason of allowing this calabash gourd to rest every few days. If you use it every single day, that's not good. That's going to promote mildew and mold. You don't want that. What I like to do is switch over to one of my wooden gourds every once in a while and let this gourd get bone dry and just let it cure on its own naturally. This wooden gourd right here is great. This video is not about wooden gourds, but just get yourself a wooden gourd as well. Alright folks, so this has been a video primarily discussing the mold issue in the calabash gourd. As you can see, this is the fresh one right here, and this is what you want to achieve. A fully cured gourd, which takes about 3 to 6 months, after the simple cure, which is only 24 hours of letting mate sit in here with lukewarm water or just regular water for 24 hours and then dumping it all out, and it's good to go. But remember, just let your gourd rest every couple days. Don't use it every single day, and you will be fine. In about 6 months, your gourd will look just like mine. It'll be fully cured. It'll be bone dry whenever you're ready to use it, and it'll essentially last you a lifetime. I've known some people who have used the calabash gourd for about 10 years, I kid you not, some people longer. So this vessel has been tested, tried, and true. It's going to last you a very long time as long as you take care of it. Alright guys, this is Dave Mate from Circle of Drink. Thank you so much for listening to this video. I hope this answered a lot of your questions. Check me out at circleofdrink.com, or just head on over to Facebook, type in Circle of Drink, and you'll find one of our many communities. And we also have a dedicated forum at circleofdrink.com/forum, F-O-R-U-M. Alright guys, thanks a lot. Ciao. Peace.